this upcoming election in 2020 is probably the most important election our country's ever faced. Now you may say, well, wait, what about 2016? Was it that important? You bet it was. We narrowly missed a bullet. I have to agree, if Hillary Rodham Clinton had become president, she would have succeeded in turning this country into a third world nation. She would have destroyed our economy. She would have destroyed our freedoms. And we've been relegated to poverty on which you have no idea. And let me tell you something. She's coming back. You think not? She's playing a game. Oh, the people, they want me. Well, guess what she's going to do? All these people out there, the Democrats who are running, they don't see the writing on the wall. She knows the thing called superdelegates. Okay? In the first round of voting in Democratic convention, nobody's going to have a front runner. All right? And then those 762 superdelegates will be released on the second term, the second round of voting, to vote for whoever they want, and guess who they're going to vote for? Hillary Rodham Clinton. You mark my words. She will steal it. She will steal the Democratic nomination. And then she's going to come in and steal the general election. Right now, Nancy Pelosi said, we are going to impeach your president, and it's all about Russia, Russia, Russia. It all goes back to Putin. Those were her words. You see the plan, folks? Here's what they're going to do. They're going to take out our president. They're going to accuse him of being a Russian spy. Now we all say, well, wait, he's safe in the Senate, right? We control the Senate, the Republicans. But as someone pointed out, there are rhinos among us. Can they be trusted? These are perilous times in which we live. Now, I could sit here and talk about all the issues. And I commend the other candidates. They addressed a lot of them. But I'm not going to waste your time or my time talking about secondary issues. The most important issue we're facing right now is the survival of our country. If we're not careful, we're going to lose this country in 1 year. And then it doesn't matter who's running for Congress, will it? Now, as an aside, I'm going to say right now that no matter who in this room gets elected, they're going to do a good job for you. They all care. It's important to them, your best interest. So you're not going to lose no matter who you vote for. Okay? All these people will do you a great job. But time is short. We are divided. One against the other. Conservative against liberal. Democrat against Republican. Black against white. You name it. We're divided. A house divided cannot stand. Let me emphasize that. If we continue down this path of division, we will destroy ourselves. We will not stand. And right now, we've got people in Congress who want to move us into a one-party system. They want to get rid of the Republicans. Go all Democrat. We'll see how that worked out for California. Oh, they're doing wonderful out there. It's gotten so bad, nobody can live in California. Why? Because the Democrats completely control that state. They have lost their minds. And I fear for the Democrats, because if they continue along these impeachment lines, they will burn down their own house. And you may say, well, that's a good thing, let them. No, that is not a good thing. If the Democrats burn down their own house, we will then be forced into a one-party system with the Republicans. But you go, that's okay, we're all Republicans. But some of us aren't. There are rhinos among us. Right? I've been accused of being a rhino, but I'm really not. Here's a bigger picture, a much bigger picture, a bigger picture we're not seeing. Okay? In 1966, a man named Carolyn Quigley, who was a professor at Georgetown University, wrote a book called, let me see if I remember that, I should have wrote it down, Tragedy and Hope. This book was designed to teach people working in the federal government how globalism worked. He was a globalist. He wanted to let people know in the federal government how globalism worked because they were enacting policies, and he wanted them to understand how that worked. The book had a limited readership initially, but it gained more over the years. It was started by two men, Benjamin Disraeli and Cecil Rhodes. Rhodes Scholar, ring a bell? That's the guy that started. These guys understood that if you could control the politics of a country, you could turn that nation any way you wanted. Just like leading a horse by a bridle, left, right, center, whatever you want that country to do, you can do it. And what they started doing was they convinced Queen Victoria to have a war with the Boer settlers in South Africa. Why? Because it was good for Cecil Rhodes, De Beers. Does that ring a bell? When they took that land, he had access to all the diamond fields. Made him a billionaire in today's money. Now, they didn't stop there. They moved on to other countries and other times. The Chinese Revolution, the Russian Revolution. What's their ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is this: to change the internal politics of a country, to divide a people among themselves against each other, so that you can take that country over. Now, why am I talking about this? Because ultimately, this isn't a battle between Republicans and Democrats. It's between globalists and nationalists. Why do you think everybody's going after Donald Trump? Because he's a nationalist. And there are a lot of people in the government, in education, in the media, who are globalists. They want a central government and a central currency. They want to consolidate power into the hands of a few people so they may enrich themselves and become masters of the universe. And I hate to say it today, but there are people who are like that not only in the Democratic Party, but also in the Republican Party. Two faces to the same coin, a two-party duopoly. That's what we have today. So I'm not going to come up here and pretend I'm one thing or another. Put a label on it. Sure, go ahead if it makes you happy. I'm telling you right now, there's a big issue. Who can you really trust? Understand the history of what's going on, and then it will make sense to you why people do what they are doing. If Nancy Pelosi and her socialist globalist buddies throw out Donald Trump, they will come in and take over. And I guarantee you, Hillary Rodham Clinton will be our not only first female president, but our last president. She will come in and take over as a dictator. I hate to scare you. I hate to be an alarmist. But I'm telling you, that's the truth. This is what we're really facing now. So we can talk about immigration. We can talk about gun control. We can talk about health care. We can talk about all those things. But if we don't address the central core issue about the future of our nation and the fact that we're killing each other almost, the rest of it doesn't matter now, does it? I do support Donald Trump. I think he's probably one of the best presidents we ever had since Abraham Lincoln. But he is having a tough time of it because nobody's really supporting him where he needs it. Now, I know on the grassroots level, people may have some sort of understanding of this. But you see, it's like an onion. There are layers. We got layers and layers and layers. How deep down the rabbit hole do you want to go? How much do you really want to know? How much can you stomach? Because if you really knew what these people were doing in Washington, you would kill them. Figuratively, of course. Politically, of course. I wouldn't advocate violence. That would be wrong. These people are involved in things so evil, you would not even believe. She talked about Epstein, his tip of the iceberg. He knew a lot of powerful people. A lot of powerful people in Washington. What do you think he was doing there on his little island? Huh? Oh, what you know about is just a little bit. These people are involved in human trafficking, child trafficking. I see people squirming. You need to squirm. You said, well, you sound more like a prophet of God than a politician. Maybe I am. I don't know where I'm going to go with this campaign. It may go nowhere, and that's fine. As long as I have an opportunity here tonight to tell you people what's really going on, wake up! You better figure it out. I know you will. You're smart. Your heart's in the right place. I wish I could tell this message to millions of people. I may not be able to, but one of you will. One of you are going to be elected to Congress. Go in with your eyes open, know what's going on, what's really going on, because they're going to come up to you and say, look, I can offer you all kinds of things. Power, money. Your dreams can come true. Just side with us. And it could be Republicans as well as Democrats telling you that. Don't make a mistake. Power and money is not just a Democratic thing. Don't fall for it. Stand firm. Because you will be tempted. You will be tempted. They will come to you because that's where the seat of power is. That's where the seat of money is. That's where the seat of corruption is. They will come to you and tempt you to side with them. Don't do it. How am I doing on time?
2 minutes.
All right, I'm going to close with this. People ask me, why'd you run for Congress? The only reason I ran for Congress is so I could give you this message. Stand firm in your faith. Do not give in to evil. And pray. Pray that God will deliver us in 2020. Thank you.
It is such an honor to stand in front of you today as a patriot. I am Jamie Cully, and I am proudly a conservative Republican who believes that progressivism is going to move Americans closer to socialism and onward to communism. I am certainly a paleo-conservative. My great-grandmother owned Wallander Forest, and my uncle was mayor of Wichita Falls. I moved away when my grandfather was transferred from Shepherd to Hill Air Force Base in Utah, where I met my husband, who joined the Navy, and the Navy moved us up and down, east and west. Someone's shaking their heads. Both seaboards and the submarine bases, and we moved away from our family and our friends. Today, I am proud that my middle son is serving in the Navy, and he is getting ready to be transferred to Japan to serve on the USS Ronald Reagan. Now the USS Ronald Reagan means a lot to me. because that's the first time I was able to vote. It's when Ronald Reagan was in office. Now, growing up through my teenage years, my grandparents made sure that I was able to spend my summers in Wichita Falls out at my grandparents' home in Archer County. My family has a long and deep history here. And I have always been proud, and it doesn't matter where I've been, but I have always been proud that I was from Wichita Falls, where my dad was a hayseed farmer on Cully Road. And when we passed cattle ranches, and I would ask him what that smell was, and he would say, "That's the smell of money, honey." You know, that's very true.
It is.
Now, when I decided to run for Mac Thornberry's position, I decided to gather signatures and meet people in districts instead of spending the $3,150 to have my name placed on the ballot. I handed out over 10,000 flyers, and I gathered over 500 signatures. I talked with our neighbors in their homes throughout the 13th Congressional District, neighbors who proudly claimed their patriotism as patriots. That was very important to me. I found Democrats who supported President Trump because he kept his promises, and they signed my petition knowing that I was a Republican. I spoke with Republicans who supported what President Trump has done for our economy. Neighbors who strongly believe he is being railroaded with continuous harassment by the leftist Democrats, whose only goal is to impeach and discredit our 45th president. I talked to never-Trumpers who didn't like him for various reasons, but they signed my petition anyway. Now, all of which I believe are patriots. Patriots who have valid concerns for which the direction our country is headed. However, the extreme leftists are bound and determined to make supporters of President Trump voices and votes null and void because they did not want a president. Now, someone else has mentioned that they wanted Hillary Clinton, and that is very true. They still want her to be the president of the popular vote. Now, it is important that we keep the American dream alive, that we keep it alive for our children and for our grandchildren, in knowing that they have the privilege to vote for a candidate without the fear of reprisal. See, voting is our lifeblood for the American dream. Voting is the central system in our country, and it is being threatened by illegals who want to dilute it, defend our 12th Amendment right to vote under the Constitution. See, our First Amendment is being assaulted. Our personal freedoms under religion, under the freedom of speech, under press, is being assaulted for hate speeches. You know, to the point where our pastors are being concerned about someone coming in and arresting them and having people to have concealed weapons to protect our churches. Our rights under the Constitution gives us the freedom to ensure that every citizen does not have to worry about government intrusion under the Fourth Amendment, where President Trump is being harassed by FISA warrants using the Reauthorization Patriot Section 215. Someone's shaking their head again. They know what they're talking about. Of the American Freedom Act as a basis for a 231 to a 192 in favor of a continuous resolution that reauthorizes an unconstitutional mass surveillance violations against President Trump and other citizens. We need to reclaim those freedoms and rights that have been eroded through intrusive policies of Washington career politicians, and y'all know who I'm talking about. Our freedom is the greatest strength that drives immigrants to our country. And I think that that is beautiful. We need to fight for our freedoms from being eroded by individuals who do not value the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, which is our God-given right. Without our fight, future Americans will benefit. Without our fight, future Americans will not benefit from these founding principles. And anyone wanting the liberty to be free from oppression. And I support policies that empower individuals. I support President Trump building the wall to stop illegal immigrants from invading our country and from illicit drugs from entering our borders and from murderers imported across our southern borders and from illegals committing violent crimes. With economic freedom, the United States is one of the wealthiest and diverse countries. The 13th Congressional District, and I have been all over it from here to Amarillo and all the other counties in between. We are so diverse. However, we rank number 12 in the nation for economic freedom, being the freest in the 2019 index of the world. And why? Because of burdensome taxes, such as the corporate tax rate and regulatory protectionism that is hurting our free trade and economic growth. By lowering taxes, families will have greater resources. Equally, continually raising the taxes and the tax rates will only hurt our economy and our families. There is no fiscal responsibility anymore in Congress, and it is Congress's fault to cut spending in the appropriation bill. And it's not the president's fault. And people like to say it's the president's fault, and it's not. It is Congress, and it is Congress's responsibility. And we must have accountability, and we must have transparency to help reduce our $23 trillion national deficit. You know, Washington's irresponsibility is no different than what we are watching in the media currently right now with the Venezuela economic meltdown. We must have Congress financial due diligence, or we are at the cuspus already. You know, in closing, I am a conservative constitutionalist. I believe in pro-life. I am a Christian. I believe in this country's sovereignty to ensure our future generations have a country. Because I certainly believe what you were just saying up here. I believe in a stronger economy through free trade because I have a master's degree in business and microeconomics and macroeconomics. You know exactly what I'm talking about back there. But we need free trade. And finally, Wichita Falls Tea Party, I so much want to thank you for inviting me here this evening.